Welcome to the Vintage Hollywood Archive channel. Dyan Cannon is one of the legendary actors that the entertainment industry is gifted with. Cannon is the first woman in the history of the Motion Picture Academy to be nominated for Oscars both in front of and behind the camera. Her diligence and determination have been rewarded by many prestigious honors. How Dyan Cannon went to extremes to please her husband, Cary Grant? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you're new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Vintage Hollywood Archive channel. Dear Cary, My Life with Cary Grant. How was Dyan Cannon's life with silver screen icon Cary Grant? With her luxurious sun-streaked long mane of curly blonde hair, voluptuous and beautiful Dyan Cannon is an actress who is hard to miss. She has been in films and occasionally on television since making her debut opposite Art Carney in The Dingling Girl, a presentation on the television series Playhouse 90. During her acting career, she always put in excellent performances in her films. Consequently, she once went home with a Golden Globe Award. Besides, on 3 different occasions, she received a nomination for the prestigious Academy Awards. She worked with some of the best directors and actors in Hollywood, collected a Golden Globe, and earned 3 Oscar nominations, one of which was for Number 1, a short film she wrote, directed, and edited. Or that, in 1990, she wrote and directed The End of Innocence, a feature film that was well received in its initial run but never got the distribution it needed. Dyan Cannon is an actress, director, and writer that remains active after a long and successful career of 60 years, but, for better or worse, she is also remembered for being late actor Cary Grant's 4th wife. It was a fairy tale romance that turned into a stormy marriage, and now Dyan Cannon has chronicled her relationship with Hollywood legend Cary Grant. Samil Dyan Friesen was born on January 4, 1937 in Tacoma, Washington, to Claire and Benjamin Friesen. She's better known by her stage name, Dyan Cannon. She has a younger brother, David Friesen, who is a jazz musician. Her father worked as a life insurance salesman, while the mother was a homemaker. In Seattle, Washington, the beautiful actress completed her high school education at Seattle High School. As a young lady, Cannon participated in different beauty pageants. In 1955, she was decorated with the Miss West Seattle honor. Subsequently, Dyan Cannon's hot body caught the attention of filmmakers, and in the process, they convinced her to pursue a career in acting. Dyan's debut on the small screen was in 1958, when she played a role in one of Have Gun Will Travel's episodes. 2 years after, she made her first appearance on the big screen after landing a role in The Rise and Fall of Legs Diamond. Since then, she continued to enjoy casting roles in different notable movies, including Such Good Friends, where she played the role of Julie Messinger, and Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, where she played the role of Alice Henderson. Cannon got her start as a showroom model in LA following 2 years of study in anthropology at the University of Washington. Unfortunately, she could not graduate, and that was because she dropped out. Thanks to the help of writer-producer Jerry Wald, who came up with her stage name, which was originally Dyan Cannon with an I, she landed a contract at MGM and made her feature film debut playing Wiggles, a troubled high school student in This Rebel Breed. Interestingly also, in Heaven Can Wait, she performed the role of Julia Farnsworth. Additionally, in the American legal comedy drama television series Ally McBeal, she was the Honorable Judge Jennifer Whippercombe. Dyan Cannon movies will not be complete without mentioning films like The End of Innocence and Women Without Men. Not relenting on the success she recorded as an actress, Cannon produced and directed movies also. Among them is Number 1. The short film was written by the beautiful blonde actress, eventually scored an Oscar nomination. Besides that, Based on her breathtaking performance in Heaven Can Wait, she won a Golden Globe Award under the category of Best Supporting Actress. She also received a Saturn Award as the Best Supporting Actress. The beautiful blonde actress has dated a few high-profile celebrities. However, it was her marriage to American actor Cary Grant that generated so much media attention. In the beginning, though, Dyan didn't want anything to do with this handsome star of the silver screen. When she heard he wanted to meet her, she was less than enthusiastic. She was 25 years old, a young actress from a well-off conservative family, and newly single. The last thing she wanted was a relationship with a 3 times divorced man, 33 years her senior. At first, the age was not a barrier to the couple because of the intense love they had for each other. When she refused to have dinner with him, he called her daily at 7:45 a.m. sharp and insisted they both listen to an inspirational radio show called The Daily Word. She graduates to dinner dates, but balks at an invite to Palm Springs. She eventually goes, but only because her friend Daphne is going too. Cary is the perfect host. He takes both girls out to dinner and fusses over them. In an amusing aside, Dyan talks of his love of food. At dinner, he clears his own plate and then hoovers up their leftovers. He also keeps a personal stash of picnic bars sent specially from England. When all is going well, which is often, in the first 3 years of their courtship, the Cary-Dyan romance seems perfect. He calls her silly child affectionately, writes her witty notes and letters, and pens several drawings. I never set out to take the stars in people's eyes about him. He was an amazing man in so many ways. He had a rough life as a kid, and all I can say about him today is how much I appreciate him. When they were together, life is a blur of mostly happy days. They mixed with big stars, Frank Sinatra, Danny Kaye, Dean Martin, and Audrey Hepburn, who was then filming Charade with Cary in Paris, and are invited to dine with the likes of Alfred Hitchcock and his wife Alma. The night they go to dinner, Hitchcock is in his element when James Stewart sits on a whoopee cushion the great director has planted on the couch. You see, Hitchcock says, next to fear, flatulence is the most fundamental aspect of the human condition. Dating Grant was, of course, exciting, and Cannon makes sure to share how charming the actor was, but there was the subject of an intense marriage. While Cannon was all about marrying and starting a family, Grant didn't believe in it after 3 failed marriages. This caused some issues and disagreements between the couple. As much as Cannon was completely in love with Grant, she wasn't happy with the idea of not making things official and getting married, and she claims she tried to walk out of the relationship over this several times. It was only when Cannon became pregnant with Grant's child that he finally agreed to marry her. They were married on July 22, 1965, 7 months before their daughter Jennifer was born. Jennifer Grant was born in California in the United States of America on the 26th of February 1966. She is also an actress known for her work in television and the movies. However, Dyan Cannon's daughter Jennifer Grant's acting career is not as successful as that of her famous parents. But as the marriage progressed, Grant gradually shows his darker private side. This included a violent temper and a controlling nature that soon set the alarms for Cannon. Cary seems genuinely delighted when he becomes a first-time father at 62, yet he can't shake off his own awful childhood. According to Cannon, Grant also started to revive painful memories from his childhood and his lack of contact with his mother after she disappeared when he was 10, with his family making him believe she had died. For 20 years, he thought his mother was dead, but his alcoholic father later told him he had her committed to a mental institution. His mother interned in a mental institution back in England when Cary was born. So after he married Cannon, he took her to his homeland to deliver the news to his mother. Somehow, his troubled past started to influence his behavior. And now that she was his wife, Grant started to tighten his grip on her. Slowly, he changed the way I dress, my choice of things, the way I wrote thank you notes. He became my Svengali. He also was coming to terms with the fact that his star was on the wane and that he was in the autumn of his career as Hollywood's greatest leading man. Suave, urbane, impossibly good-looking, the epitome of sophisticated glamour, he had been the biggest star of the golden era, and there is great poignancy in this glimpse of him near the end of his time in the brightest spotlight. Inevitably, it affected both him and their relationship. At one point, Cary thinks that LSD, then legal, would help solve the couple's problems. He was a regular user and believed it to be a wonder chemical. The UK-based publication added that between 1958 and 1961, he took LSD about 100 times in therapy sessions to help him cope with his past. Dyan tries to get into the spirit. The family that trips together zips together. She forces herself to quip, but the acrimonious divorce is not far away. Dyan details the breakup and her own subsequent breakdown in depressing detail. "I just know he was so intent on finding the gateway to God," she said. "My hunch was that it didn't have anything to do with drugs. It was an inside-out job." Being a proponent of LSD because he thought it brought him closer to God, he wanted the same for Cannon. Against her better judgment, she finally gave in and tried LSD about a dozen times in hopes it would make him happy and improve their failing marriage. Cannon was so intent on pleasing her husband that she even consented to undergo LSD therapy, the same medically administered therapy that Grant believed had been beneficial to him. "It was something Cary asked me to do, and I thought about it a lot before doing it," Cannon recalls. Cannon is reluctant to talk about the therapy, except to say, "I didn't do it a lot. It wasn't good for me." I was equally unsettled by his enthusiasm for taking LSD, the mind-bending drug to which he had been introduced by his third wife, actress Betsy Drake. Cary claimed LSD offered a path to truth and enlightenment, and his tactics to persuade me to try it were rather underhand. He was referring to LSD again. Sure enough, he suggested that we should both have a session. I even agreed to his suggestion that we should get the nanny to take Jennifer to the park each Saturday, leaving us alone to take LSD together. I hoped that I might emerge from these supposedly ego-shattering, soul-freeing sessions as a shiny new wife who could effortlessly meld as one with her husband, but this succession of acid trips only killed my appetite, disrupted my sleep, and made me both nervous and drowsy. Eventually, I suffered a breakdown and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital where doctors told me that LSD had contributed to my fragile state of mind and that I was lucky to be alive. With an age difference of over 30 years, the duo had a magical courtship in the 1960s that eventually gave way to the dark side of Grant after they were engaged. Following 3 years of marriage and not long after the birth of their daughter Jennifer, the couple divorced and Cannon suffered a nervous breakdown. Cannon said she relied on more conventional therapy to help her face life after Grant. "I think everything has helped and everyone I've ever known has helped because it has all led to me being here right now," she said. "But I think the main ingredient is that I'm totally spiritual and that God is the center of my life, and that's what carries me on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about spirituality, which is knowing there is a bigger love that is always present that we can call on to help us with whatever is going on in our life." Cannon added, "I think we are all spiritual. We just need to plug in to realize that. The therapy, the spirituality, having wonderful friends around me. I've never felt so blessed." For those who find themselves in a controlling relationship, Cannon says her advice would vary on the individual, but there is one thing she is certain of. She admits going to extremes to please her husband, Cary Grant. "When as a woman or man you give your instincts, your very thinking away, to someone in order to make them happy, that's a no-no," she said. Working on pleasing her man was reportedly one of the problems in her relationship, Cannon revealed that catering to Grant was the most important thing in my life, more important than working, more important than anything. That was the big flaw. I pushed aside everything that I desired to make him happy. The truth is that Cary never loved the woman I was. He loved the enlightened woman he hoped LSD would help me become. And if I needed any reminder of that, I had only to look back to the night we met in a restaurant in the months leading up to our divorce. She, as a star, has returned to acting after a 9-year break, during which she dedicated time to writing her memoir and a Broadway play, both dealing with her brief marriage to the late Hollywood legend. By the early 1980s, Cannon sharply curtailed her feature film career, but did appear in a few television movies and miniseries. In 1976, Cannon wrote, produced, directed, and even helped edit a 42-minute film sponsored by the American Film Institute. In conclusion, Dyan Cannon has had an illustrious acting career which has lasted over 60 years. Little wonder in 1983 she received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in recognition of her contributions to the movie entertainment industry. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here.